Hello, everybody. Great to see you again. This is Jeff Olson on the Creator Studio live, here to talk to you today about a subject that has come up time and again, and that is the relationship between soaps or detergents and water mixable oils. So I've got a presentation for you today that is going to dispel this myth, give you some information to clear it up if it's something that you believed or heard, or something that you can discuss with others who bring it up in conversation. So I'm happy to share that with you today. I just got back from the Oil Painters of America, had a great time there. It was in Florida this year. Wonderful group of professional painters, wonderful exhibition that they put on. And I got to spend some time there talking about Cobra and talking about water mixable oils with a great group and just really enjoyable. And we talked a little bit about this subject as well. So I think you're going to enjoy this. It's going to be a short presentation. I'm going to get right into it and share the presentation with you now. Then we'll have a Q&A afterwards, of course. And then, as always, we're going to be giving away a prize. So if you type into the comments today, I love Cobra water mixable oils during the live broadcast. If you reside in Canada or the US, you'll be eligible to win. What I'm giving away today is an entire set of the auxiliaries or mediums for Cobra. So it includes a painting medium, a quick dry medium, the new thinner, a new mix medium, which turns any traditional oil paint into water mixable paint, and my personal favorite, the painting paste. So you'll get a whole set of these mediums to explore with that you can use with Cobra, any water mixable oils if you're using other brands, or any traditional oil paint as well. So excited to be able to give that away at the end of today's broadcast. So let's go ahead. I'm going to share my screen. And you should see my presentation pop up here in a second. There we go. All right, I think we're in business. So there is soap in the paint. You've heard people say this before, and it is patently false. It is not true. And today we're going to dispel this myth, if you will, and talk about the relationship between water mixable oils and detergents and do a little myth busting here today. All right. So just clarify this misconception. And it really lies within the confusion and incorrect association of water mixable oils with household detergents due to the presence of something that we refer to as surfactants. And I'm going to define that for you if you're not familiar with that term. And I've read this literally published in books, not just from people talking about it, the ill-advised practice of adding detergents, using dish soap, for example, with your traditional oils to create an emulsion. And an emulsion is where we can mix things like oil and water together, and I'll talk a little bit about it. If you've heard me talk about Cobra and water mixable oils before, you're familiar with that term. But please don't mix soap with your paint. All right, let's go ahead and dive into this. So first of all, what are detergents? Why do they come up? Where is the relationship? And they have an interesting history. Detergents are a type of surfactant. So this term is going to come up again. And like I said, I'm going to define this for you. But not all surfactants are detergents. They were developed during World War I as a substitute for soap. Soap used to be made out of fat and lye. There was a shortage of fat during the war. So chemists got to work and discovered this new chemical compound that they refer to as a surfactant. It helps separate oil and grime from surfaces, as you know, if you've used any detergents. It was made from two types of chemicals, chemicals we call petrochemicals and oleochemicals. And let's talk about those for a second. So petro is Greek for rock or stone. So petrochemicals come from fossil fuel sources or byproducts of the fossil fuel industry. Oleo is Latin for oil or fat. These are chemicals that are derived from natural oils that come from plant or animal sources. So petrochemicals, oleochemicals, one from the rock, one from oil or fat. So surfactants, let's define them and I'll explain them here a little bit here now. They're a type of chemical that lowers surface tension. Surface tension is what we're talking about here. Each molecule contains a hydrophilic and lipophilic or hydrophobic, we refer to it, component. So it's a special molecule where literally one end of it likes water. That's what hydrophilic means. It literally means water loving. And the other side that likes an oil, lipophilic, fat loving or oil loving. They act as a surface active agent. So that's where the name surfactant comes from, literally based on its description of its activity, surface active agents. And they're used in various applications, including cleaning and paint formulations. They have common roles in these two different worlds. One is as a wetting agent, a dispersant, and an emulsifier, especially in paints. So when we talk about a surfactant altering the surface active quality, we're talking about it reacting to the pigment, as well as other agents like oil and water in the emulsion. So not all surface surfactants are detergents. So while detergents are surfactants, not all of them are detergents. They're used in paints and primarily from oleochemicals. So the ones that you would find in a water mixable oil basically are a plant-sourced chemical. The household detergents often will contain other components, so enzymes, which are meant to break down materials, and that's not included in water mixable oils. You find bleaches sometimes in detergents, dyes. None of these are found in paints in association with the surfactants that are used to create the emulsion. So what is the role of the surfactant in a water mixable oil? Water mixable oil uses surfactants synthesized with a drying oil to create an emulsion with water. So the linseed oil, which is your primary binder for oil paint, we use that in Cobra, is synthesized with the surfactant, which allows that to bond with water, that oil molecule to bond with water. The emulsifiers enable mixing without breaking down the oil molecules. That's really important to understand too. The water evaporates away and the linseed oil cures normally to form a durable paint film, just as with any other traditional oil paint medium. So that water evaporates out. The only water in the paint I should actually comment on too is what you add to it. The paint doesn't have water in it in the tube. Only what you decide to add to it if you decide to add it at all. Water mixable oils retain the archival quality of traditional oil paints. These have been tested thoroughly. The synthesizing of the oil with the surfactant does not alter the archival quality of it whatsoever. Some historical context of emulsions in art. I think this is really important to learn too. It isn't something that just popped up in the last 50 years. This is something that's going on for hundreds of years. So emulsions include things like tempera and casein paints. Tempera is egg yolk and it's mixed with the pigment, and water is used as a vehicle. And that's because the egg yolk has a naturally occurring emulsifier in it. Casein paint is made with a milk protein as the binder with pigment, and again, water is used as a vehicle. Emulsifiers exist naturally in food, household products, and the human body. So when we talk about these oleochemicals, we're talking about things that come naturally from things like plants and animals. This is a fun fact too. Emulsifier, you'll hear this term used a lot when we talk about water mixable oils. It comes from the Latin emulgere, which means to milk. So it literally is related to something that is an emulsion, made up of animal fat and water. So water mixable oils are true oils. The fact that they are synthesized with a surfactant doesn't change that. The presence of surfactants doesn't negate their classification as oil paints. Traditional oil paints can have these ingredients too. They can contain surfactants, solvents, stabilizers, preservatives, you name it. Surfactants are used in oil paint often to help with pigment absorption. So they are used as a regular ingredient in traditional oils as well. Some of the definitions of oil paint. So if you really want to define what an oil paint is, and that is the definition defined by the binder. And this is true for all paints. When we talk about watercolor, acrylic, what we're talking about is differences in binder. Pigments are universal. We use the same pigments for watercolor that we do for oil paint. It's the binder for every paint that gives it its distinctive working properties. And for oil paints, it's a drying oil binder. Linseed is most common, but it could also be walnut oil, for example, or safflower oil. Additional materials or synthesis do not alter its identity as an oil paint. So synthesizing the material with a surfactant to make it water mixable doesn't change the fact that it is an oil paint. And artists have been modifying their paints since the beginning of the tradition, the European tradition, that is. Historically and currently, artists use additives like resins, dryers, waxes, alkyds, as well as synthesizing or polymerizing the binder to alter the working properties. You've probably heard of things like cold pressed oil, stand oil, refined linseed oil. All these are synthesizing the traditional linseed oil binder to change the working properties. Polymerizing took place all the way back with painters like Van der Weyden and Van Eyck, where they would heat it up and that would change the working consistency. So the fact that the oil is polymerized or these other ingredients are synthesized with it does not change the fact that it's oil paint. Modifications do not change the fundamental classification. Another fun fact about water mixable oils is that it's been done before. It's been known for years. We go all the way back to the 15th century and we see a technique in Italy known as tempera grassa. So you take essentially an egg yolk, which is the binder in tempera, and you mix that with linseed oil, and then you can use water as the vehicle. And this was used by artists like Bellini, Botticelli, a lot of the most famous Italian painters of the 15th century into the 16th century before oil became the dominant medium. And it continued on as a known tradition and technique that many artists used all the way into the 20th century and today. This gentleman named Frederick Tubbs, he was a very influential artist and instructor in New York City at the early part of the 20th century. He was a famous instructor of the Art Students League. He wrote several books. If you're familiar with Frederick's canvas, that's him. At least his name was lent to it. But he talks about this in his book, what he calls the oil temper technique. And he actually gives a recipe for it. 1 part stand oil, which is a polymerized linseed oil, 2 parts egg yolk, and 3 parts water. And he creates a medium that he uses either to make his own paint or to work with traditional oil as a water mixable oil version. So this is just one recipe too. There are a lot of other recipes out there that you can find that give examples of this tempera grassa technique that's still used today by painters. So a real summary here, or a quick summary. Detergents are surfactants, but not all surfactants are detergents. Surfactants act as a surface active agent used in various applications, including paint formulations. Surfactants function as emulsifiers in water mixable oil. So they're there to create that emulsion, to allow the oil and the water to bond. Emulsions have a long history in artist materials, as we just went over. And oil paint is defined by its primary binder, a drying oil. So water mixable oils are a true oil paint. Historically, artists have often modified their oil paint. So the modification of the binder prior to its creation does not change the fact that you're painting with a true oil paint. Water mixable oils are true oil paints. All right, so let's get to the Q&A. Hopefully you got some good questions for me in there. I'm looking forward to answering them. Oh, excellent. I see some of the regulars there. Hello, everybody. Awesome. Oh, and I see a lot of love for Cobra. That is fantastic. And thank you so much for joining me today. Oh man, you guys are great. So let's talk about some of the questions that I've received in the past. Well, if you ever get a chance to register your thoughts on this. So I'm always getting some curiosity, sometimes pushback because of this myth of soap in paint. And like I said, I even read it in a book one time where somebody was recommending to do it. And it's just not the truth in what we see with water mixable oils today. There certainly were some first generations of water mixable oils that used a different type of chemistry, but today the chemistry has been refined. And in artist quality water mixable oils like Cobra, we see this newer chemistry that results in a much creamier, buttery consistency and with the working properties that you would associate directly with traditional oil paints. And they're a real joy to work with as a result. Other questions I get about water mixable oils are their compatibility with acrylics. So I'm going to go ahead and answer that real quickly. Water mixable oils should not be mixed directly with acrylic paint. That's our recommendation as a manufacturer. Artists are going to do what they're going to do. There are some folks out there who say this is okay to do. You certainly could get away with it mixing on your palette. You could paint on the surface, but they dry in different ways. Oil paint dries through a process known as oxidation. where acrylics dry through evaporation. Oxidation is a much slower process. As you know, oil paints take a while to dry. Evaporation is a very quick or fast chemical process, so acrylics dry very quickly. And so over time, the stability and permanence of the paint film could be compromised. So we don't recommend it. If you want to experiment with it, you're absolutely free to do with it, as you will. I can't stop that, but we don't recommend it. You can, though, paint water mixable oils like Cobra over the top of a dried acrylic underpainting, for example. The same considerations should be taken as you would with a traditional oil paint. So, for example, you don't want to just use paint out of the tube, acrylic paint that is, out of the tube. You want to dilute it a little bit with water. You could add some gesso to it. There are different techniques, but just to create a little more tooth on the surface is what you're going for, so the oil has something to grab onto. That's really important. But beyond that, it's totally fine to paint these paints right over the top of an acrylic underpainting. All right. What else we got out there? Oh, I see Cindy. Hi, Cindy, Nancy. Good to see you guys. So much. So thank you so much for joining. I love it. I love it. Do surfactants vary from company to company, brand to brand is a question. Yes, absolutely. Uh, and there's a couple ways that this works. So sometimes the paint manufacturer synthesizes the oil themselves, but often the synthesized oil comes from a supplier before the paint manufacturer gets a hold of it. So they'll actually just be focused on the paint making practice as they would normally. They don't have anything to do with the way the surfactants are made. Very often there are proprietary practices at work here, so some things aren't completely shared, but there can be different surfactants indeed, depending on the manufacturer or the source of the synthesized oil, the drying oil itself. But as a practice, the majority, to my knowledge, the majority of the surfactants used in the making of artist grade water mixable oils are oleochemical based. Great question. Love my Cobra. I love you guys. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining. Now, I know it was a quick show today, but I just wanted to really dive into this with you folks because I do get so many questions about it. And it came up as a part of my visit to OPA, the Oil Painters of America conference. And so I put a bit in my presentation there to cover it with them as well. But just want to kind of set the record straight, if you will. You're not painting with soap. Soap, like I said, has other ingredients in it that are going to compromise the integrity of your paint film. It's nothing like what's used in the manufacture of water mixable oils. What is used to, did you mean dilute in that, Myrta? I'm not sure on your question. Maybe you can clarify that for me. What to use to dilute the paint? Is that your question? I mean, typically when you're painting with water mixable oils, all you need is water. You can add water up to 1-to-1 ratio is what's recommended. So you really don't want to exceed more than 1-to-1 ratio of water with water mixable oil paint. Kind of the same philosophy you would have using traditional solvents with a traditional oil paint. If you exceed that, you compromise the potential integrity of the paint film down the road. So with water mixable oils, 1-to-1 max with water. Usually artists are just kind of cleaning their brush with water, rinsing it out, and then going back to their paint. They're not adding a lot of water into the paint. For those under painting areas, or if you want a really fluid look, you can add what I like to do is add 1 part water to 1 part Cobra painting medium. It's one of the most popular of the painting mediums of Cobra. You mix that 1-to-1 with water, so you have a nice strong paint film, and then you can add just tiny amounts of pigment and get a really beautiful surface in your underpainting with drips and a kind of a watercolor wash look. So that's a really fun way to do it. Other than that, diluting the paints, Myrta, would include the mediums. So there are a lot of mediums that you can use that will extend the paint. They will adapt the working properties, make it dry more quickly, dry slowly. They can also change the sheen. So water and the mediums can be used. I got asked a question if you can use water mixable oils with solvents. And usually people are trying to get away from solvents, right, when they're using water mixable oils. But the fact is you absolutely could. You could treat them as you would any traditional oil paint. You could mix them with solvents. You could mix them with any other painting medium out there. It would just mitigate the water miscibility of the paint the more you added to it. So great question, Myrna. Thanks for asking that. Painting medium. Yeah, so painting medium. So traditional oil paints, you can have a variety of painting mediums. Today, alkyd mediums are very popular, for example. The most basic painting medium that is usually a mixture of linseed oil itself with a type of solvent like white spirits. 1-to-1 ratio, although artists vary that. And then they use that to mix with their paint on the palette to thin the paint, to make it a little easier to work with, extend it. So lots of different reasons that they would use that kind of combination. Today, you can buy those pre-mixed painting mediums under a lot of different brands and a lot of different names. I just mentioned a minute ago some of the different painting mediums that are available through Cobra. And definitely check out here. I'll put in our website here into the chat, royaltalents.com. And you can look up the mediums there and see what's available. There are several great ones available, but they all do something a little bit different depending on what your goals are in your painting process. Some people really like fluid paint, some people like more impasto. So there are things you can add to the paint to modify the results. Yay, no solvents, exactly. I mean, there are a lot of reasons why people are interested in painting with water mixable oils. Some folks are concerned about their health, and rightfully so. Solvents can be very harmful if you don't have proper ventilation in your studio. You can use them safely, but you want to get away from them if you are working in an area where you don't have good ventilation. It's a shared space. Maybe you're working in your living room or kitchen that you're sharing with other folks in your family. Some people just have sensitivities to solvents, allergies, if you will. So not having to use solvents is really important for them. Environmental concerns are part of the interest in working with water mixable oils as well. Disposal of solvents can be tricky depending on where you live. Ideally, you want to be taking these to your approved waste disposal center. You definitely don't want to be pouring them down the drain. So working solvent-free helps save the environment. And then finally, just convenience, especially if you're traveling. You can't fly with solvents, they're combustibles. And sometimes if you're traveling to remote destinations to go painting, it can be hard to track down a good solvent for your paint. So lots of reasons to paint solvent free. And water mixable oils is probably just the most direct way to achieve those goals. Oh, thank you, you guys. Yeah, health concerns are a big, big thing, Nancy. 100%. It's always great to hear that people are looking for healthier options for themselves and the folks around them for sure. And very travel convenient. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, hopefully this quick show today, you guys, made it a little clearer on how people are confusing soaps, detergents with water mixable oils, and understand that what we're doing today in the formulation of these paints has nothing to do with detergents, and that the paint itself is a true oil paint with great integrity and archival quality that's going to last for generations and give you great results that you're going to be really pleased with in the studio. As always, it's great to have everybody here. It's great to talk with you. Hopefully, you had some enlightened moments during the presentation and said, aha, now I can answer that person who's constantly telling me I'm painting with soap. But thank you, as always, for joining. So let's go ahead and give away some goodies. We had several people here who answered, and I want to make sure that we give everybody a chance. So I'm going to put the names into my little dialer here and spin them around. And so we have a winner, you guys. We got Cindy Murray. Cindy, you've won before, I think, haven't you? Well, congratulations. Cindy, you are now the proud winner of a new set of Cobra mediums, the auxiliaries that include the painting medium, the glazing medium, the quick dry medium, the painting paste, the medium mix. It has a brush cleaner, a bar of soap as well, the new thinner medium. There's also a safflower and linseed oil that are water mixable oils. So great job, Cindy. Beaumont, you are the winner. And go ahead and direct message me at Royal Talens NA, and we'll get your information and get that out to you. Fantastic for everybody joining today. Please share this show with others who you think might be interested in it. And I'll continue to monitor the comments over the next couple of days and answer questions as I can. So thank you everybody for joining. Have a great rest of your Wednesday, and we'll see. Oh, I should announce before I go, I almost forgot. We do have another show on the 7th of July coming up, and it's going to be with Karen Weiss. She's one of our ambassadors and a longtime Cobra painter. So she'll show you how she uses Cobra. It's a really unique technique that she has developed, and it uses palette knives. So if you love impasto, if you love water mixable oils and want to see somebody who's just a dramatic colorist, she has beautiful color in her paintings. Make sure you catch that show on the 7th, same time, same place, 5:30 Eastern, 2:30 Pacific, on July 7th, Wednesday. We'll be talking with Karen Weiss. So join us then, and thank you as always, everyone, for joining us here on the Creator Studio Live. I love it. I love it.